Hey guys, welcome back to Diving Deep in Thought. You're here with Elias, and today I want to talk to you guys about the acronym I gave you guys earlier. So I told you that there's 4 components to what makes us human beings. There's the spiritual component, the emotional component, the mental component, and the physical component. And these are the 4 areas that we can focus on a little bit each day of each area so that we can become more balanced, live a more richer life, have a bit more awareness, and just get more. These are 4 faculties that we can exercise every day. We have free access to them, so why not explore them? And our loved ones will benefit more from this because they'll see a change in you that will change them, and we can just be instigators for change and growth. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about spirituality. What is spirituality and why you should practice it? I've got the 5 reasons. So spirituality is a transient escape from the constant torments and expectations of the ego. It is the undeniable access to a greater part of ourself, and it basically is the dissolution of our identity so that your soul begins to embrace something much greater, a greater dimension in which we exist. While it is quite liberating, while it is quite freeing to see this side of us, it's also very scary at the same time, because on the other side of our ego, which our ego is just our identity, it's who we perceive we are. So we look at the world and we have a reflection back at us. This reflection coming back at us, of that reflection we accept a certain part of it, and it forms this mask called the ego. So the ego serves us sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't. It plays it so safe that it blocks people out, and it creates division sometimes. It creates social class, it creates race differences. This is the ego. The ego is how much you identify with someone, and the closer they are to your normal, the more you accept them. But what really is normal? So that's something to think about. With the ego, also, to free yourself is to look on the other side of the ego. So the ego is protecting us. It's this wall around us. When we peek over the wall, on the other side of the ego is potential. So it's the potential of losing or gaining this ego in a way that we're putting forward. So usually the ego is accepting information from the environment, but nothing's forced. But when we start forcing things from the inside, we're peeking over the wall of the ego and looking out onto our potential. And that is limitless. There's absolutely no amount of potential that you can measure beyond the ego. It's huge. It's unlimited. And this is what we want to tap into. So spirituality is the freeness of all expectations, and it enables us to experience the divine unconditional love. Hypersensitivity, which is being very sensitive to things and exploring them with our senses, without having this masking of the ego. Self-acceptance and fearlessness, and also faith. So these are the topics I want to talk to you guys about, and I just want to go through them a bit more thorough so that you guys can understand and relate them to your life or teach them to someone else. So the first one is divine unconditional love. So there's no mistake that you're here. You didn't choose to be here. If it was a mistake to be here, who can justify this mistake? So it's not. It's a gift. It's a miracle that you're here. You didn't decide to be here. Deciding to do something creates a mistake. Not being here. A tree was here. The house is here. These aren't mistakes. They exist, and we label them. So don't label. Accept that you're here. You can't really control your conditions, but what you can control is how you see your conditions. And the divine unconditional love is that it's important that we are being appreciated as humans. We need to appreciate everything else around us. We're part of a bigger system. We're not just who we are. We have to interact with other people. We have to interact with animals. We have to interact with, objects, materials, everything. And we've got to have a universal love all the way around so we can appreciate all things for what hope they give us and what service they give us, and inspiration through everything. There is an endless supply of affection. Stop thinking like when you like something or you got to be nice to someone, it's costing you anything. It's costing you nothing. It's costing you what you think the ego means to be normal. And normal isn't necessarily real. Normal is this standard, this deviation, this range that we have to fit in between. So we cut off all the fat, which is the good stuff, and we just keep this middle part, which is what we consider normal. The second thing I want to talk to you guys about is hypersensitivity. So hypersensitivity is when the ego wants to box things. So when you see this person, you have to feel a certain way. When you see this person, you have to feel a certain way. You sort of want to let go of that. You really want to let go of that. You want to experience and flow with the environment, with the people you're with. Be present. Explore life from the other people's point of view. If you see someone really, really happy, and deep down you're not happy for them, guess what? That's the ego. And that's the ego telling you that he's happy. Bring him down to your level to make you feel more comfortable. See how we drag each other down? That is wrong. When you start to embrace that someone else is happy and you share that emotion with them, you're not balancing out fire with water. What you're doing by enjoying, embracing in that energy that that person has, is you're amplifying it, because good and good will make more good. Good and bad balance out. Why balance someone out? Why not explore what they're feeling? This works on the other side too. If someone's really sad and they're not happy, don't try to cheer them up and say, it's okay, it's nothing, because you don't know what that meant to that person. So you can't make that judgment. All you can do is embrace and say, and try to feel what they're feeling. Try to connect. Tell them a story where they can connect so that they can be closer to you. But when you give them the polar, the north, south, you're going to get resistance. You're going to get, a wall built between you. Try to understand what's happening in their house by not just blocking all their windows, but looking in and seeing what they're feeling. Try to connect with people. Connection is very important, because when you can relate with someone, you'll listen to them. So if you're not seeing a small part of you in me by me talking to you, you won't connect with me. That's how it works. So if you automatically hate this video from the first second, you're going to say, I don't understand what this guy's on about. He's not making sense. But you're going to block out this information. So just think about you saying, I don't want to listen to him. What would you have not learned? So don't do that with other people. Connect. Positive, be positive. If they're negative, obviously connect with them. Figure out why and work through it, man. There's nothing better than, don't discount their problems, but just work with them if they're willing to share that with you. So that's hypersensitivity. You're more sensitive to the environment, to people. You care a bit more. You're not just stuck in your ego in your ivory tower saying that I'm protected by this thing. I'm not in need of anyone's help, so I won't seek it. And in doing that, you don't end up helping people. Self-acceptance. This is accepting the fact that opinions aren't facts. That what you see is not always the truth, and what you say isn't always very meaningful. So you may say something and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. And it was genuine. Believe it. Back those words and understand why you did say that. Apologize. Don't say something out of the moment or the environment and then not own it. The moment you don't own that, you're lying to yourself. And the moment you start lying to yourself, you've lost integrity with who you really are. And if you keep doing this, it's you versus the world. So self-acceptance is accepting who you are, understanding that you're a part of a billion-piece puzzle, that if you get taken out a little bit, the puzzle, you can still see the full puzzle, the full picture. It's not the end of the world. So don't put yourself on this pedestal of trying to be perfect, because perfection doesn't exist. The only thing we are perfect at is being perfectly imperfect. The common thing between all of us is that we are all uniquely different, and we all got something different to bring. If we were all going to be the same and we're all approaching the same thing, it'd be a pretty boring world. What's your favorite food? I'm sure it's not your nationality's food. Or what's the favorite types of clothes you like to wear? It's very easy to blame, but then when we're enjoying those things that aren't necessarily our faith, our tradition, who we are, we tend to judge and we don't accept who we are. And that also comes to others. Whatever you do to yourself, however you treat yourself, you're most likely going to treat others. So self-acceptance, we all want normal, but normal isn't necessarily different. And there's no point, if you're a circle, trying to fit into a square slot, because that's just how you are. Work with what you've got. This is why we need to look inwards. If everyone keeps looking outwards, we're all going to keep manipulating ourselves. So then we look at a fake person being fake and we change ourselves to look fake. And then when they look at us, we're fake. So who really wins? If we're all a bunch of fakes walking around, where's the integrity anymore? You know, that's no good. You don't need to look like everyone else. You don't need to be like everyone else. It all comes down to confidence. It's got nothing to do with how you look. Because if you look a certain way and you don't back that look, my friend, you're in trouble. So don't do that. Yeah, and understand that we're not here forever. So there's no point trying to please everyone. You know, that you're here for a short period of time. Embrace, you know, keep that inner child happy and just understand. The last one I want to talk to you guys about is fearlessness. And fearlessness is detaching from the ego to some extent, so that when you believe the ego leaves you, when you transcend to a higher dimension, when the ego leaves you, you haven't necessarily gone. That there's a bigger part of you, bigger than the ego, that you can explore now. So if you're just about the ego, possessions, you know, this house defines me, these products define me, this defines me, and I'm afraid of departing from it, it's a very different path to take, rather than saying these parts, this house complements my life, these objects complement my life, but my life is defined by how much self-worth I have on the things that I can't see, the intangible objects, my belief, my inner faith, the way I believe I should be living my life to its fullest, through service, through persistence, through perseverance, through failure. So fearlessness is detaching from the objects that we believe we're going to lose. Because the only thing we're actually afraid of is the way we want to be seen, which is unbelievable, because we care about, more about what our enemy thinks of us than our family and friends. So we really care about how we want to be seen. So we build up all these possessions, and it's just not worth it. It's better off that we just live a life that's more fulfilled, and not worry too much about the fear of, leaving all these things behind. The further you get from your ego, the less you fear death, and the more spiritual, because the spiritual part doesn't know time and space, and it doesn't know objects. It just doesn't. It just sees what it sees. It doesn't label. It's not prejudiced. It's not racist. It's the spiritual side is being one with everything, and just present with everything, accepting of everything. That's the spiritual entity. The ego judges. The ego puts labels on people, compartmentalizes emotions, and we're not going there. The last one is faith. Understanding that at the end of the day, when an unexplainable event happens, or a big success happens in your life and you don't know how to deal with things, you need control and discipline. And faith gives you control and discipline, assuming that the spiritual side of yourself is hardened for an event to come and not totally consume you and make you go off track. So it's very important that we have faith, because when we have really positive events, like, a child being born or a sunset, that we really appreciate those moments. And that's when you're really truly losing yourself in the moment, and you're just thanking God, the creator, the all high. You're just being very thankful, and there's a rush of positive emotions that runs through you, and embrace that. Embrace those moments. It's very, very important, especially when someone has illness. If you know someone who's sick, or they're going through a really tough time at the moment, prayer is very important. Prayer heals you, and it projects positive intentions out there. So it's very important to do that. Praying is not just for us. It's you're interceding for someone else, and you're sending good intentions, and intentions that are good always receive people who are unwell. So that's spirituality. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and share if you feel like someone needs it. And thanks for watching, guys.